guys, and welcome to TezMania TV and another episode of my new segment, which is about cooking or beverages, food and beverages. And today we're going to do some cooking. Today's meal is going to be a low-carb vegan dish. If you don't want vegan, you can do a vegetarian, or you can add meat or do whatever the fuck you want. But I'm choosing to do this vegan today. What we're going to cook is an Asian-inspired noodle dish. Here are the main ingredients. First off, I'm going to use these vegan soy bits. They're made from tsai, which is a soy protein. Then we're going to use these wok vegetables, straight from the freezer. Water chestnuts, baby corn, broccoli, and carrots, I think it's what's in there. And these are the noodles that I use. These are kelp noodles, and they only contain 2 grams of carbs per 100 grams. If you haven't tried these before, you can eat them just out of the box as they are, when they're crispy and sort of raw. Or you can add them to the food, which is what we're going to do today. And then they soften and end up just like regular noodles. And we're also going to be using coconut oil. And some spices, of course. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the frozen stuff, so the vegetables and the tsai, on a plate so that they can defrost a little bit before we start cooking. So this is what the tsai looks like. Kind of looks like little meatballs. You don't have to defrost either of these, you can just put them in the pan as they are. But by defrosting them a little bit, you can get rid of some of that excess water so that your dish doesn't get too runny. And for the tsai, these are now like one big individual block, and I want to be able to separate them, so yeah. Next step is rinsing the kelp noodles, or rather soaking them. So I'll just keep them in the pack and then fill it up with water. Alright, my soy product and the veggies are now almost completely defrosted. And they are going in the pan at the same time, so I'm just putting them on the same plate. And I'm going to use the other plate for the noodles. And these, you can take them out of the pack like this, just in one big blob. And then you want to get rid of that excess water, so I'm going to give them a squeeze. And then just put them on the plate. And then these can be a little bit tricky to work with if you haven't done it before. So what I like to do is separate them outside of the pan like this before I start cooking them. Can you hear that sound? So crispy. And you can totally eat them raw, like I said. They're delicious in a salad, for instance. You can also tear them into smaller pieces, whatever you like, just to make it a little bit easier to work with them in the pan, because they are a little bit almost like plastic in the texture. You can, however, tear them apart very easily. So next, I'm going to start heating up the pan and put a little bit of coconut oil in there. While we're waiting for the pan to get hot, I can show you the spices that we're going to be using today. Obviously, we're going to be using regular salt and pepper, and I prefer white pepper, so that's what I'm going to use. We're also going to use these 3 classic Indian spices. We have cardamom, coriander, and cumin. You can see that the coconut oil is starting to resolve. That's how you can tell that the pan is starting to heat up. Once it is completely resolved, you can put your food items into the pan. And then I'm going to put both the soy product and the veggies in at the same time. Let those cook and just give it a stir every couple of minutes to make sure that every surface gets heated up and cooked properly. I decided to add some cashew nuts, so I'm just going to put some of those in there too. Once everything has been in the pan for maybe 10 minutes or so that it's all heated up and cooked, I'm going to add the coconut milk. And it's time to add the noodles. You want to make sure to cover the noodles with as much of the liquid and the veggies and stuff as possible. So you kind of want to layer stuff on top of them or they won't get cooked. Once the noodles have stopped being crispy, your dish is ready. So give it a couple minutes, let it simmer, and then try one of the noodles. If it's still crispy, then keep going. But if it's soft and nice and hot, then your dish is done. Top it off with a couple more cashews if you feel like it. Oh, and if you like, you can put some lemon slices on the side as you serve this so that people can squeeze some lemon juice on top of it to get a little bit of acidity. That's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions about the recipe, just post that in the comments and I'll get back to you. I'll see you next time. Bye!